This politician took his own life on live TV.
This is Robert Bud Dyer, and he was an American politician who ended his own life in a live press conference. In the early 1980s, Pennsylvania discovered that its state workers had overpaid federal taxes due to errors in state withholding prior to Dyer's administration. A multi-million-dollar recovery contract was required to determine the compensation to be given to each employee. In 1986, Dyer was convicted of accepting a bribe from Computer Technology Associates, a California-based firm, to award them the contract. He was found guilty on 11 counts of conspiracy, mail fraud, perjury, and interstate transportation in aid of racketeering. And Robert Bud Dyer was scheduled to be sentenced on January 23, 1987, but on January 22nd, Robert Dyer called a news conference in the Pennsylvania State Capitol building in Harrisburg, during which he fatally shot himself, ending his own life with a .357 Magnum revolver in front of reporters. This was then broadcasted later that day to a wide television audience across Pennsylvania. And I'm going to explain the whole thing right now. After Dyer finished speaking at the news conference, he pulled out an envelope with a Model .357 Magnum revolver in it. And when the crowd in the room saw what Dyer pulled out of the envelope, the mood changed immediately. The question on everyone's mind was no longer whether or not Dyer would resign, but what he planned on doing with the firearm. Inside the room, people gasped and Dyer backed up against the wall, holding the weapon close to his body. Dyer then calmly said, "Please, please leave the room if this will affect you." Among those people who stayed, some pleaded with Dyer to surrender the gun while others tried to approach him and seize the weapon. However, Dyer warned against either action, exclaiming his last words, don't, this will hurt someone." Robert Dyer then quickly put the muzzle of the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger, firing a shot through the roof of his mouth and into his brain. He collapsed on the floor dead. Blood ran out through the back of his head and through his nose. 9 news cameras recorded the events, and one of the cameras remained focused on Dyer and captured close-up footage of the aftermath of the shooting, as his body was slumped and blood streamed from the exit wound in the back of his head, as well as from his nostrils and mouth. He died instantly from the gunshot shortly before 11 a.m., but was not pronounced dead until 11:31 a.m. This is definitely one of the craziest things to ever happen on live TV, and what's even crazier is that the footage is still out there. I don't recommend searching or looking for this video because it does depict extremely disturbing things that might be unsettling to people. Can you just imagine watching this in 1987 expecting a normal news conference, and then something like this happens?